Well, let me start by thanking Katrina and all those who bring us together today. I remember your father well, and thank you for carrying on in his tradition and fight for human rights. Madam Ambassador, welcome. I look forward to getting to know you even better, and thank you for representing the Netherlands here in the United States of America. I think my friends, Congressman Kilmer and Huizinga, I turned over to them and said, I'm going to nominate you guys for speaker, and I think they got scared and ran out of the room. Any other volunteers for the job? But I'm honored to be here for this very, very special occasion. And I am a former co-chair of the Dutch caucus. I actually passed the baton to Derek Kilmer many years ago when I left the House and came to the United States Senate. And I want to thank the embassy for pulling together this ceremony, along with all the other sponsors. And I want to congratulate both recipients of the Anne Frank Award. Now, I'm here with the special privilege of introducing and bringing up here one of those recipients. And I know Senator Ben Cardin in many different ways. I know Ben Cardin as a friend. Now, for all of you from the state of Maryland, you know that when Senator Cardin runs for re-election, he has these ads where he has people from all over the state saying, please vote for my friend Ben. So he has lots of friends. But I can tell you, as somebody who works with him every day in the United States Senate and has really gotten a chance to see his work in action and his heart and his soul, I am really grateful to be able to call Ben Cardin a good friend. I also know Senator Cardin as a fellow Maryland senator. And while we're gathered here today to recognize his very important contributions around the globe, you can also find him protecting the Chesapeake Bay, doing important work for the beloved city of Baltimore, and many other things around the state of Maryland. And here at home, not just in Maryland, in the United States, because Ben Cardin is somebody who fights for and promotes human rights and democracy and justice here at home and around the world. Here at home, he has been a real champion in trying to make sure the United States achieves our goal of a more perfect union. And he has fought hate in all its forms: anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, and all the other forms of hate and discrimination that we see here in the United States. He is the author of the End Racial and Religious Profiling Act, and I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of that. I wanted to explain that because what it shows you is that this is a core value for Senator Cardin, something he practices here at home and around the world. Because if we're not strong here at home, then we can't be a strong example around the world. Of course, we're here today to recognize him taking those values to protect democracy, to protect human rights, and do our very best to ensure that people, not just in the United States, but people wherever they live around the world, can have the benefit of those rights. And as you've heard, he has done that in many different forms. For years as the chairman of the U.S. Helsinki Commission and Special Representative on Anti-Semitism, Racism, and Intolerance for the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. In that capacity, he helped educate people around the world, especially, of course, in Europe, but really globally, about the dangers of hate, of the history of anti-Semitism and other forms of hate that we have to stamp out. You heard from Bill Browder and, of course, from Senator Wicker about the important work on the Magnitsky Act, which has become the important tool we use to crack down on human rights offenders around the world and those who benefit themselves through their corrupt acts at the expense of their peoples. Now, I shouldn't say now, he's also done all these things as a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and now, of course, has the very important responsibility to carry that out as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, a committee on which I'm proud to have him as our chairman. What he said when he assumed the gavel recently was, quote, "We will continue to make sure that we hold fast to our values of human rights, of democracy." And leadership in defense of democracy is more important now than ever. Yes, here at home, but of course in the form of blood being shed by the people of Ukraine to defend themselves against Putin's aggression, to protect democracy, to protect liberty, and all of us have to stand with Ukraine in this fight. And of course, the horrible attacks we recently witnessed of Hamas against Israel, brutal attacks against people in Israel. Most people killed in one day, most Jews killed one day since the Holocaust, which of course took ultimately the life of Anne Frank. So it's going to be Ben Cardin, Senator Cardin, who works to steer through the United States Senate another round of urgently needed military assistance for Ukraine, and also to provide assistance to Israel in its hour of need, and, as President Biden announced yesterday, to make sure that we have a humanitarian assistance component to that, because, as the ambassador said, we don't want innocent people anywhere to suffer unnecessarily, whether in Israel or in Gaza. So it's going to be the task of Ben Cardin to shepherd that through the United States Senate. And so I can't think of anybody more worthy and deserving of an award, the Anne Frank Award, than my friend Ben. Ben Cardin.